Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the Guinness World Records Gamers podcast. I'm your host Mike Plant, and with me is Luke Wakeham, our Games Records manager.
Hello.
And our pair of freelance journalists.
Hey, I'm Jack.
Hey, and I'm Andy.
Jack Turner and Andy Lachlan.
Hello.
Thanks, guys.
Hey.
My God, there's a lot of news to get through this week, but we'll start, as we usually do, with the games we've been playing, then we'll hit the big news that's been happening. We'll go on with on the record section, where we've got quite a lot for this week too. There's a lot to fit in this show, basically, and then we'll finish with a special boss fight quiz, which I have not briefed you about. It also differs from the usual structure.
I smell a rule change. It's like moving the goalposts every single week.
That's exactly it. It's like sports like F1 that change every time. It's just like that.
Yeah, but not entertaining in any way.
Just like F1.
All right.
On with the show. Okay, so let's start with the games we have indeed been playing. Jack,
hello.
You've been picking up some of the Nintendo demos, which we'll get to in the news too, and then also a couple of the things.
Yeah, so I've been playing exclusively on the Switch this week because there's been a lot going on.
Yeah.
So first up, I've been playing Yoshi's Crafted World.
Yep.
Which is coming out end of March, 29th of March, I think.
Finally.
Yes, finally.
A long road.
So yes, so they first trailed this last year, and it feels like ages since that happened. So they finally gave it a release date. It's coming, next month. Wow, that is soon. And they dropped a demo during the Direct, and it is utterly charming. And it's not... So you play as Yoshi, unsurprisingly. I mean,
right, yeah.
Spoilers.
In a crafted world.
In a crafted world, yeah. And it's made up of... It's like a sort of diorama, handmade style.
Like Blue Peter.
Like Blue Peter, yeah. It's got a kind of Little Big Planet vibe to it.
Yeah,
in a way.
There's even kind of on the back of things, there's labels and barcodes and stuff.
Yeah, so everything appears like it's been made from recycled materials. And you go through the world on a sort of flat plane with a foreground and background. And because it's Yoshi, you can throw your eggs at things. You have to collect things within the world, and you can knock over paper houses and stuff like that. And then when you get to the end of the world, it turns around, and like Mike says earlier, you can see the back of the world. Oof. And then you go back through it. Again, it's only the first level in the demo, and it's really simple and straightforward. But I can't speak to how hard it's going to get later on. I remember Yoshi's Island got pretty tricky as it went on, so I don't know if it's going to follow that or not. But it's just really enjoyable. Really charming. I think it's probably aimed at younger players, but I had a great time collecting cows and collecting dogs. So, what that says about me.
Throwing dogs, because that's what you...
Yeah, you throw the dogs, but it's all in good fun. And
it looks really good, and we might need cheering up on March 29th, so I might well pick it up, to be perfectly honest. But it looks really good. I saw in the demo that you showed in Nintendo Direct, you can put on like costumes, can't you? And it gives you different abilities and stuff like that. That's
right, yeah. So, and again, the costumes are things like old tea bags and things you might find in a bin, which is exactly how you want to dress up.
Yeah, works for me.
Yeah, he's never really done that in games before.
No.
Just like, grabbed a bit of scenery, just get in this.
But it looks graphically, it looks absolutely beautiful. It looks almost realistic with the style they've gone for.
Yoshi's terrifying in that he can just eat something and create an egg instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing else can do that.
I mean, biologically,
that's
biologically
system does he
intriguing.
have?
That's the fair point. And the other game I've been playing is Tetris 99.
Oh, Tetris Battle Royale.
Yeah. So I've not played Tetris 2 through to 98, but I'll get round to them. So this was another one.
Tetris 38 is a classic.
Is it? Is that the best one?
Oh, it's a cracker.
Controversial.
So this is another game they dropped during the Direct. It's out now, and it's free to play if you've got Nintendo Online, which I know you guys are massively into.
One day. This game did actually tempt me towards it, because I'm a big Tetris fan.
And if you've ever thought, I like Tetris, can I play against 98 other people? Yes, you can.
No, never.
Reminds me... Going back to the Game Boy original, when you could get that wire between them, do you remember?
The link cable.
Yeah, the link cable, just the link cable, and then you could play battle mode where you could drop each bricks on it. I'm pretty sure that happened anyway. It wasn't just a race.
No, garbage. It's garbage, isn't it?
I guess
Tetris garbage.
Who's the guy? We had a record, didn't we, of the best Tetris player? But he must be serious competition on this game now.
Yeah, imagine actually we should get him on the show.
He was the youngest, wasn't he? He was the youngest.
There's a couple of guys' names obviously totally gone out of my head, so they'll come back to me at some point.
So basically, the screen is Tetris, as you can imagine it. Your big Tetris play area in the middle, and then on the sides are all the other tiny Tetris fields.
So all 98.
Yes, 98. And you can see them filling up, and you can, when you clear a space or get a Tetris, you can basically assign that to someone else, and you can assign it to people who are ranking last, ranking first, or your enemies. And so you're just sending out your blocks to other people to raise their Tetris.
So when they hit you with stuff, does it say this has been delivered by, Johnny Seymour or whatever?
Johnny Seymour, no. It doesn't say that. But yeah, so that's the way it works, and the game gets progressively faster as more people drop out, and it gets pretty frantic towards the end. I think the highest I ranked was in the 20s, which isn't too bad.
Yeah,
but people are seriously good at Tetris.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who've played Tetris over the years on their own, and they want to prove to the world how good at Tetris they are, and this is the platform for them to do it. It's a bit controversial because it has infinite spin. If you're a Tetris buff,
right.
So basically, when you're slotting the piece in, you can just spin it infinitely, as the name suggests, until you get it in the right position.
Okay,
Some people don't like that. I like that. But
It's forgiving.
Yeah.
it is forgiving, yeah, that's what I need.
I guess you need that though, don't you? Because it's so fast, and you're getting a lot of other players. Otherwise it would probably be for a lot of people they'd drop out quite quickly, wouldn't they? Like because they'd mess it up.
Yeah.
So you probably need that. It's like on a battle royale where they do some kind of quality of life thing just to kind of help other people. So I imagine that's why they probably do it.
It's quite a common feature now in Tetris, but I know that some people just really think it's cheating.
There's the key to online that kind of Tetris, I suppose, is getting Tetrises, because that's how you get the most.
And comboing into them,
Garbage,
so
yeah,
you can get like 2 in a row, back to back. Because remember we played Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Yeah, on the train, it was
Which
great.
was
Great fun on the tiny little switch screen, squinting.
But I kind of like the idea behind battle Tetris, because it does have an element of strategy to it and an element of play to it, and it feels so natural just playing Tetris. But this time, rather than just how far you can get, it's just like how much like a bonus multiplier I can get. It's kind of quite fun.
No matter when you hear that soundtrack, it's always banging, isn't it? As well, like it is a classic, that isn't it? And they seem to have like made it even more banging on the direct. I was like, oh, I really want to play Tetris now, but I'm not going to sign up to Nintendo Online.
A lot of Tetris have been released recently.
Yeah.
Tetris Effect.
Tetris Effect, and the
That's got really good
the
reviews,
Puyo
hasn't
Puyo
it?
one you just said about, and there's been a lot of different Tetris.
It's nice though seeing Tetris back on a Nintendo handheld again. I know that Tetris Puyo, how do you say it?
Puyo Puyo.
Thank you. Puyo Puyo was on Switch as well, but this is like this is more of a classic Tetris. And because the Game Boy was what popularised Tetris in the first place, it kind of feels like it's come home in a way.
Can you play it non-99?
No,
So you just don't have a free
it
version.
is purely you play against 98 other people, or you don't play at all.
Oh, that's kind of a shame.
But it's really active at the moment. At least there's always a match going on.
Apparently they didn't really explain anything. There's no tutorial, and there is a quite
Well,
a
it's
deep
Tetris.
meta. Well, no, but like how their sort of
Where do I put all
systems
these blocks?
work. Like when would you send garbage over?
Yeah.
Because apparently there's quite an active community already of people trying to work out the sort of meta game and the mechanics behind it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean the thing about who to assign your blocks to is not explained at all. And so you use the thumbstick to. There's a radial menu, and you decide who to send it to. Yeah, that's not explained.
We need to find out if it's tracked, so we can find out the most wins and
Yeah.
stuff. I'll get in touch with Nintendo.
Okay. Don't bother chechecking. It's probably me.
Yeah. Well, in the 20s. Who
Your
was the
23rd
fastest
position.
to
Fastest to
mid-table?
lose.
Fastest to mid-table mediocrity.
I'll go next. You've sort of been playing Far Cry New Dawn, but not much yet, haven't you? So that'll be for next week.
Yes. So I played Far Cry 5, and they've kind of most of the review coverage has kind of spoiled the end of the game, which I haven't actually finished yet, but it doesn't really matter too much. So you kind of have to know the thing that they said is going to happen. But I think the early impressions is obviously it's the same map, but they've done quite a good job of making it feel quite different. I think a bit like Primal with using the same map but actually switching out. I don't think it feels as such a big leap for that. It's still, but it is quite technical and day glow. Whereas Far Cry 5 was kind of sort of almost anchored in reality. But then again, that kind of always felt a bit jarring as well, because it's like Far Cry is kind of a bit nuts, a bit wise, and all the stuff in Far Cry 5 was it felt quite a bit too close to comfort at the moment. With the kind of climate, the political climate, with the state of America right now, it was a bit like, should we be really having this as entertainment right now? It did feel quite difficult. Whereas, you know, when you go to Nepal or you go to some weird fictional dictator or some place, although the African one felt a bit close for comfort at a time as well, you know, kind of like mercenaries and, you know, blood diamonds. It was kind of a bit, ooh. So maybe they do skirt a fine line with Far Cry, but it's always just fun. I mean, like, the mechanics is just good. As soon as you get your preferred weapon loadout, you're off basically, and you pretty much are reaping havoc across the world, and it's always, the formula always works, I think, in that game, whereas with some Ubisoft games I think they can drift in and out, like some you can go for one and go like, it's kind of jumped the shark on this one, or it's not quite made it. Barring a few bits and pieces, the Far Cry games are always a pretty consistent sort of 8 or 8 out of 10. So I think this one probably is going to skirt that, and from the early reviews it looks like it's going to be good. But yeah, I'm going to dig into it a bit more this weekend.
Alright, nice one. I've been playing a bit of Metro Exodus, which is really quite good actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played the other two. I've never quite got as far as finishing any of them. I think this one I might persevere. It's definitely the best one so far. What I really like it is the way it keeps you in the first person all the way through cutscenes and everything, and his like hands, a bit like Far Cry actually, his hands play a big part in it, so you're always like, you
Far
feel
Cry
attached.
Yeah.
But you kind of
Very
feel
similar.
attached to the character even though you never see the character, because like, you know, he's battling stuff, and it's very much like the demo that was in the Xbox conference, you know, a couple of years back, and it was all that stuff with, you know, the beast coming at you. All that is done, but it's not really you controlling it, it's just a part of a sort of long, well cleverly kind of disguised cutscene. But yeah, it works really well. I won't really spoil any of the plot or anything, but it very quickly sort of exits, as you might expect from the name of the game,
Like an Exodus.
and you end up on a train, which we've seen in the trailers for a long time now, and that's kind of cruising across the country. And yeah, there's just slows going on. You can like sort of freely explore areas. There's loads of just little bits and pieces to do. I'm very early in the game, so I've probably only sunk about 4 or 5 hours into it. So I basically got out of the initial bit and into the first kind of breathing of the open air kind of bit of it. So yeah, it's really enjoying it so far though.
I'm definitely going to pick this up.
Yeah, no, it's a great game. It's
because I didn't like the first one, 2033, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I just found it like it just didn't feel satisfying. Like the encounters with the monsters were annoying. The kind of mechanics were a bit annoying. But this one, from the look of it, it seems like a much more like broader and like more sort of a expansive kind of experience. And like I love the like crossbow and all the kind of crafting and all that kind of stuff that you do. You know, you can change your weapons on the fly. So yeah, I'm definitely going to pick this up. It's
it kind of is very similar to the other games in that the monsters still feel a little bit like they're cardboardy. I don't know. There's something
a bit rigid.
It's not Unreal, is it? It's its own engine or something. I'm not quite sure.
No,
but
it's what the developers
it's Deep Silver, the publishers.
Yeah, but they're Russian, Russian publisher, aren't they?
It's great. I mean, it's really good, but it feels refreshingly different, but also like jarringly different than any other first-person shooter, just because most of the games are either on DICE or Unreal, I guess. But no, it's cool. And yeah, I'm hoping to jump back in and have a bit more and talk about it again next week.
Yeah,
cool. So I've been going back to my old friend Resident Evil 2 Remake. They just released some free DLC, which basically is 3 sort of mini campaigns where it's kind of like a run, like the sort of the Forgotten Soldier and the Tofu.
Yeah.
We've just got to get from A to B in the fastest time possible. This is kind of like that, but a bit more action focused. So it actually introduces some more enemies. So you've got zombies that have got this sort of purple cloud around them that are like poisonous. So if you get too close, they'll poison you. There's also these pale skin ones.
Bees in there.
There are these pale skin ones that don't go down with normal ammunition because they heal really quickly. So you've got to use special ammunition to take them down. And other ones that have just got body armor on. So you've got to sort
hang
of
on
like
a minute, where are they getting this from?
Yeah. Well, they're like a SWAT team member that's been, turned.
Very convenient.
So basically, I guess this is the action element of Resident Evil 2, because the sort of the vanilla game, I suppose, is a bit more sort of, right, conserve your ammo and think tactically and, oh, I'm going to run around this zombie. Whereas this one is just panic-inducing. It's like, run! Oh my god, you've got to go! type thing. You do get lots of, a bit more ammunition. I've only really sort of ventured into the training modes of each one, which gives you more, because they also have like difficulty stars next to them. So, but there's also one which is I think it's called No Way Out, which you get after you've beaten all the 3, which is a sort of wave-based encounter. So you remember the gas station at the very beginning? I think you're the sheriff in the gas station. You've got to kill 100 zombies in order to complete it. And I guess this is kind of reminiscent of the Mercenaries mode in Resident Evil 4. So giving you something to sort of go back and get better at in sort of small chunks.
Yeah. Do you remember that mission in RE4 where you go in a house and you're with the Spanish guy and you've just got to board up the windows and it's just an onslaught.
Constant management of just like, I better go upstairs and board the window back up or move the bookcase back in the way of the window and stuff.
That was so stressful but so satisfying. When it was done, like, you're just like, oh my god, thank god for that.
And so the other thing I've been playing is Jump Force. Which is an anime arena fighting game.
I've seen some real mixed reviews of this.
Yeah, I've been quite enjoying it actually, because it's kind of silly. It's a very simple game. It's not quite like your Dragon Ball Fighters or Tekken 7. Tekken 7. It's not like super deep. Basically, you've got a light attack button, a strong attack button, and then all your special moves. There are some other mechanics like dashing and evading and blocking, but that's kind of it. Every character feels exactly the same. But unless when you hold the right trigger, that's when all your special moves come up, and then this is when you can start throwing kamehamehas or have really stretchy limbs and stuff. So I've actually been kind of enjoying it just because of the sheer spectacle of it.
So this is the one that hammers together all the different anime heroes and villains, I guess.
The Jump universe. Yeah. So all the different like animes, there are the One Piece, the Bleach, the Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. They all are their own universe in the Jump universe, and Frieza is being naughty. He's attacked Earth, our Earth, and so the Jump Force are jumping in to save the day. But I mean, I think it looks alright. It's all done in Unreal Engine 4, but it kind of has this feeling of, you know, when you see those videos of, imagine the Ocarina of Time done in Unreal Engine 4. You see all these sort of like vistas that you thought were like, oh, that's really detailed. It's kind of like that. It's like, imagine seeing Goku in Unreal Engine 4.
I'm not sure I can imagine that. What would that be like?
It doesn't. I mean, some of the characters look better than others.
Who's the most recognisable character for someone who doesn't follow anime?
It will be Goku. Yeah, he's the one with the big blonde.
I'm aware of his work.
He's on the book.
Yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
Yeah.
Does it have a clip art dog like in that
combat?
You've also got Yu-Gi-Oh in there as well. And stuff. So it's just all like, it's kind of a fan service game. It's entertaining, I think, in sort of small bursts of just like button mash, button mash, button mash, and it feels quite gratifying to just sort of pull off these ridiculous moves that just take like far too long in a sort of sense, because it's just all like particle effects and colours flying all over the place. But yeah, I think it's quite fun.
All right, should we get stuck into all the news of the week? So there's a lot to run through here. So let's start with the Nintendo Direct. So that happened on the 13th of Feb, so last week now, just kind of after we recorded, and as luck or bad luck would have it, these aren't even everything that was all the games that were announced, but this is just a taster. So stop me if you want to discuss anything further. Right. First of all, Super Mario Maker 2.
Stop. I'm very excited for this. I was a big fan of the other one. I think it was just really nice to have the sort of the exact Nintendo Mario tool set to create your own levels, and I think it was really fun just to sort of like, I'll play the 99 lives mode and just sort of cycle through all these different user created levels and then having a go at creating your own.
I hope they make a better way of the best courses being kind of delivered more easily
sort of
to you. Yeah, that's what they need to do with it, really.
I mean, there was a bit. I like the way that in the Direct it basically just went bam straight into this, and then it showed you slopes. There are no slopes.
I mean, that was cool. But when it first came on and it was Super Mario World, I thought it was going to be like the announcement that Super Nintendo games are coming to online, and then then I was actually a little bit like disappointed.
Yeah, but now, Mike, you can make your own Super Mario.
Yeah, but I never
just
will.
recreate it.
I don't have time.
They've also added Super Mario 3D Land
As
sort
a
of
new
side-scrolling. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
It's
lots
lovely.
of new things in there. The only thing I am slightly worried about is whether or not accessing user-created levels is going to be behind the subscription
online.
service.
Yeah, maybe.
Time
Probably,
to
I
pay
don't
up,
know.
Luke.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the one that will make me
Well,
do it.
once they have enough compelling reasons, it doesn't become a thing anymore. 'Cause you
Look,
do get a lot for it.
Tetris against 98 other people,
Yeah.
playing Super Mario Maker levels, and a few NES games. 18 quid.
Bargain.
Moving swiftly on, Box Boy and Box Girl in April. So I haven't actually played any of the Box
They're good.
Boy games.
I think it
but
looks
I do
really
believe they
fun.
are.
I think it was really clever. Like,
I like Rectangle Dude at the end as
I
well.
like, yeah, he's just like, hey, and, you know,
What's he called again? It's like Q something or other. isn't it?
Q Boyd.
Q Hugh. I don't know.
One for you too. Captain Toad DLC was announced for
nailed
March.
it.
Come on.
Can't wait.
Uh,
And
I-
2-player. And 2-player.
Yeah, so that so
Yeah, two-player, yeah.
So the 2-player update is out now. Yeah, and then the DLC comes in March. But if you buy it now, you can play the first level of the DLC.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
think it's like what, about 20 odd new levels.
Yeah,
It's
one's on a pirate ship.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not-
like, come on.
it's not a
There
pirate
you
ship.
go.
And it's,
So excited,
I think it's
you guys.
about it's about £5 or something. So it's
mean,
pretty well
You know,
priced.
what can you get for £5 these days? You know, not a lot.
Then Bloodstained Ritual of the Night was confirmed for summer. We kind of known that's been coming for a long time. It's by Inafune, is it? Who made it? Oh, no, that's the other guy, isn't it? I can't remember the guy's name. But anyway, the producer of Castlevania.
Yeah.
From the olden days. Dragon Quest Builders 2. You got a bit into Dragon Quest Builders.
I reviewed the first one.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's like Minecraft with a point. So
Wow.
if you like building stuff and the story, I tell you what, Dragon Quest
That's
Builders.
actually with the tagline.
You quote for a poster.
And then they had a massive section on Dragon Quest 11 that went on a bit. It's cool that they had the 16-bit mode though. You could swap it from like modern graphics to old worldy graphics,
That's
which
the whole
I
thing as
appreciated.
well.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's nuts.
Oninaki is how you pronounce it. From the
yes,
guys
yeah,
at Square Enix who made I Am Setsuna, like a nice little RPG. And then so Yoshi's Crafted World we've talked about with the demo being confirmed. It did look like it was rather nice. 29th of March for that, like we said. And then they had this long video showing the history of Fire Emblem,
Fire Emblem was so
Three
long.
Houses. Went on a bit.
It was like Harry Potter, the whole Harry Potter series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan. I love Fire Emblem, but yeah, even that was a bit much for me.
That was toilet break time for me.
It did at least show that the game plays pretty much like you expect a Fire Emblem to play with, the tactical grid-based system, and it was quite cool. For nerds like me, there's a nice sort of way you can level up your characters and give them new skills and teach them. You are basically a teacher in the game, so I quite enjoyed all that side of it. But yeah, it went on a bit. Tetris 99, as we talked about, looks really good. And then they did Deltarune, which is the anagram of Undertale.
This looks great. Yeah.
Pseudo
This did
sequel.
make me laugh.
I
With all the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just really like anarchic, isn't it? And like that's what you look for, and it's just a bit different. It's like so many games are so po-faced and serious, or they're like really cutesy, and there's no middle ground of like just a little bit of a knowing Deadpool type wink to the camera type thing, breaking the fourth wall. And I think this is just really, really cool. I forgot the guy's name who develops
something Fox.
Yeah,
Toby
Toby
Fox.
Fox. That's
There
it.
we go.
Yeah, but he's done really well for himself, hasn't he? Like, but yeah, I will be.
I wish I was his friend.
Hey, Toby.
He has kind of cemented himself as being the sort of subversive RPG game
definitely.
developer.
But I'm going to pick this up, definitely.
So chapter 1 is available to play right now. So that's like the demo, but it's actually the full chapter, and then the rest of the chapters become available now
And you won't
as
pay
and
for
when.
Not free.
But not
Yeah.
Also, how long will because he worked on Undertale for years, right? So how long will it be until the next chapter comes? I think it'll be quite a while.
Who knows?
Because it's just him, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
always-
Unless they've, he
And he
might
uses
have got
one
a
of
few
those sort of game writing software packages. I can't remember what it was called, but that you can get them on Steam, like RPG
Oh, yeah,
Maker
yeah,
type
yeah.
thing. I think he used one of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then they showed this Demon Ex Machina, whatever, which looked insane. We've seen it before. It was at E3 on their Direct, I think, last year. I had a go of that quickly on the demo. It was as incomprehensible as it looked.
Yeah. That just looked to me like
You're in a
kind
mag,
of-
you're shooting things.
Yeah.
I didn't
was
understand
fine.
any of that. I was just like, this stuff is happening.
It was the kind of demo that you feel like a waste of time to play the demo. You might as well just wait for the full game, because you're going to put so much effort into the demo that I just felt like I understood it from playing a bit of it, but I just realised then I want the, if I'm going to play it, it might as well be the full game. Then they marched through a load of games which had already been out on PS4 and Xbox. So there was Senua's Sacrifice, Mortal Kombat 11, Unravel 2, Assassin's Creed 3, and Liberation. So much. And Final Fantasy 7.
That looked really weird, didn't it? Because the frame rate looked really bad. I was like, is this supposed to be running properly?
Because that was on the Wii U, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure Assassin's Creed 3 is like a launch title, so it's not like it's had to have much happen to it, I don't think.
It could just be the presentation of the demo or the sort of stream itself.
It was a weird one to get signed off. So maybe it looked okay, but it was in the stream, like Luke says, because I was surprised they showed it because it looked absolutely terrible.
It's not even one it's not even the best in it.
Well, 2 on there.
It's actually probably the worst.
Because 2 is older and it's much better. Like,
so get excited, guys. Well, they already did Assassin's Creed 2 for the PS4 and updated all the graphics. So I don't know why they didn't just roll that across. Who knows? So then they confirmed Final Fantasy 7 for the 26th of March, Final Fantasy 9 out now, which is probably actually, for me, a bit more exciting because I've not played that in a long time. Final Fantasy 7 I've been through a bit more recently, and obviously we're also waiting for the remake. And we'll continue waiting for the remake, I'm sure. And then they jumped to Platinum Games, who've got this crazy looking game called Astral Chain, which was kind of an action RPG from some of the people involved in Nier Automata, and it looked really good to me. I mean, I don't know what anyone else thought. It's my sort of jam, I guess. But
it's the same as guys as Bayonetta, isn't it? Or Platinum?
So it had different. So the same company, but then it had the various people involved that worked on Bayonetta and Nier Automata. There was a lot of sort of big heavy hitters involved in it.
I mean, when I saw it, I thought, that's a Mike game. Just disregarded it.
The premise seems to be there are sort of corrupted machines, and you have some sort of psychic chain that you can attach to the machines, like override them, like an astral chain, perhaps. Ooh. Unconfirmed.
You may or may not have an astral chain,
and then you can kind of take them over and use them to fight even bigger machines.
Well, that is an advantage, isn't it? I mean, I'd probably,
if you could do that with a microwave, you could take out an oven.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to get right on that.
So you control other machines to tackle bigger machines.
That seemed to be the premise.
Now I'm into it. That sounds like. Do you remember Paradroid?
No,
just me. So you were a robot. You were a robot, and you took over bigger robots until you got to the big robot.
Okay.
But you started off as robot number 1, and you had to fight your way to robot 100. And so you'd start by fighting robot number 2. So you could go
like an early battle royale.
But you could go and fight robot 100 straight away, but you wouldn't have much of a chance because you'd be quite underpowered.
So you could potentially skip robots.
Skip out
content.
Sounds like they've ripped it off.
Or did you ever play they did, I think, a version of Transformers as well, Transformers Devastation,
which is kind of out of print now, weirdly, and the Turtles one as well, because they lost the licenses to them. So I think they are only really available on second-hand shops.
Well, Astral Chain, it made me think of Astro Train, who was a Transformer Gen 1.
I think the did you finish the list then?
No.
Sorry.
So then,
they
they didn't show it, but they then name checked Bayonetta 3 and said yes, it is still in development, but who knows when that'll come out. And then they finished with the
biggie
mic drop moment of Link's Awakening. So obviously 26 years since the Game Boy original.
This was my first Zelda.
Game
Boy.
I can't
probably mine as well, actually, because I didn't have an NES.
It was my first Zelda.
Wake the Fish, didn't you?
The Windfish.
The Windfish. Wake
and there was the owl, the mysterious owl. But it looked. I don't know. Like, I'm never a massive fan of the. I was saying on the last show, I don't know, that like that chibi art style is. I'm never a great fan of it, but it did look like a really nice version of that, like the best version.
It looks really clean, and I thought it looked amazing, and I saw it and thought, well, no one could possibly dislike this. Then I logged onto the internet.
What made me really excited at first was that they were showing the cutscene that looked absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Again, just a retread of the original cutscene, but obviously done a load better for the Switch. And I thought, they're going to have done it in Breath of the Wild's engine, and then it dropped and it wasn't.
But on the original game, like you say, the cutscene for that was sort of anime style.
Yeah,
and then it cut to
It's kind of exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly.
It was almost
albeit in
shot
black
for
and white
shot.
or
Yeah.
green.
I thought it looked absolutely amazing. It looked
it's
really
brilliant,
loyal to the original game as well.
Kind of like,
almost
was
shot
it A
for
Link
shot.
Between Worlds that was on 3DS? That kind of
Yeah,
is it-
bright and garishly colourful. They also they confirmed it's got the 2D levels where you can stomp on Goombas.
Yep.
Which
Classic.
links Mario World and Link, of course, for all the conspiracy theorists out there. And yeah, it did look a lot of fun. They just kind of said out 2019. They didn't give a date for that. Also, weirdly, not in the direct, although then confirmed straight after it, like, hello, can I play too? Was Hollow Knight's Silk Song, which is a sequel to Hollow Knight. So that also looked cool.
So that's a full-blown sequel. It's not just DLC.
Full-blown sequel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why it wasn't part of the direct. Who knows? So that is anyone want? So you were going to comment?
Yeah, I just was going to say, like, I think these directs are really good. You know, like you get the kind of slightly odd kind of click of the fingers, slightly kind of weird. Hey, what did you think? You know, kind of odd. Pieces of camera. But they just rip through them so quick, don't they? It's game, and like I think they're doing really well. Like I think they're doing a really good job with these, and like there's a bit of stuff right now. There's a bit of stuff that's coming up. There's a bit of it's just a real good mix. I think they seem to have found that right niche in this, and like Sony definitely found it when they started doing the proper shows at E3 and like very much focused on games, and like Nintendo are doing really well. Like. And there's a good selection of everything here, isn't there? Like
Something for everyone.
something for all the family.
Having games available now, I think is really good as well,
yeah.
because it just sort of builds the excitement. It's like, what are they going to announce that I can download and play tonight after the direct?
And they basically started with a load of sort of 2-player games as well, with that Box Boy and Box Girl and Captain Toad with the DLC, which I think is like, you know, the Switch is that kind of 2-player console. It's become the couch co-op console, isn't it? And you know, they're obviously, given that they were the game that they first mentioned, other than Mario Maker, you can tell that's what they're really doubling down on as well. But yeah, no, it's a great list of games, something for everyone. Obviously Fire Emblem and Link's Awakening for me, the two that I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, there are an amazing amount of games on there, and for the whole year. It's crazy that like then they just will have another direct in a month and announce a whole new load of things that you're excited for as well. And this is out without even going to Luigi's Mansion and Animal Crossing and all those massive games that didn't even get a nod in this particular direct. It's they got a real strong roster on their hands.
What I would say is we're saying something for everyone unless you're in a 3DS. In which case, you get nothing.
See, Isaiah, you kind of we were talking about that before, weren't we? About is this kind of the death knell, as it were, for the 3DS. So Vita today was announced by Sony as well as being sort of stopping production. So maybe the sort of the two old-fashioned portable consoles are finally winding down.
Yeah, but I think you're seeing a shift, aren't you? You know, I mean, I think the Switch, it's like Nintendo kind of just, it poses a question, doesn't it? And it's like sometimes they get to the point, like motion control, it never really, they pose a question, it was really wildly popular. Then it kind of, Microsoft did Connect and then Move, and you know it never really went anywhere. So then maybe this is them shifting the Switch portable in a different direction. Will it work eventually in the long term? You don't quite know, but it always makes a change, doesn't it? And then like if you're with the Vita and with even the 3DS now, you're like, well, okay, well that's kind of done now. We're doing this now. Whether it will work ultimately in the long term, you don't know, but you can't stay the same, can you? You know,
certainly making him a lot of money in the current time, anyway. And then, so just a couple of days ago, there is this sort of news that came out, part of another podcast, they're Kind of Funny Games, but it wasn't actually the host of that show. It was a guest, I think, Imran Khan, who was the editor, senior editor at Game Informer, and he has basically kind of started off this rumour that Nintendo were bringing back a cancelled game.
Right.
So then the rumour mill is this could be Scalebound, which from what I was reading about started life as a Wii game, so it'd almost be that game coming full circle.
Right.
Obviously the Scalebound was famously sort of cancelled. It was by Platinum Games again, which again they seem to have quite a strong relationship with Nintendo with all the games we've just been mentioning. But then Microsoft owned the rights to Scalebound. From what we could gather, it got cancelled. But now potentially it could be coming to a Nintendo console, which means that either Platinum Games or Nintendo had to go and buy the rights off Microsoft. I can't imagine which company would be the most likely to have done that, really.
Well, the game fits the system. I mean, I always felt it was a bad fit for Xbox, but I think it does fit the Switch actually. You know, and like probably the fact that the assets are a bit older wouldn't necessarily matter as much as well in that context, because ultimately the Switch doesn't need that high resolution graphics. I'm not mad excited about that. It looks awful.
It's not obviously not confirmed at all. I mean, I think people are now speculating that this game will be on part of their E3 Direct at Nintendo.
Right.
So maybe we won't have very long to wait until we find out.
Was anyone excited about Scalebound? It always seemed like a bit. Wasn't that part of the reason they cancelled it?
Yeah, it looked ever more confusing. I think they will have to have like massively changed the game. For it to make sense.
What else could potentially has been cancelled that's quite notable?
Well, there was another. So the same chap on a different in a different format was on a different website was saying that Mother 3 has been like a resurrection of Mother 3 because it's on the Game Boy Advance in Japan. And it was strongly rumoured to be. It's never been translated into English, and there was this big kind of rumour that maybe they were finally going to translate it, bring it out on Switch, but then he basically said it got scrapped because there are certain scenes in it which Nintendo are a bit worried about. There's kind of like a strange kind of cross-dressing bit which is all innocent really, but like in the climate of today it's hard to make it work without getting criticised, I suppose. So that is the other thing, that maybe they'll have resurrected that and they are going to like release it in whatever translation.
There's another like classic Nintendo game that Microsoft owns that also got cancelled, which is the GoldenEye reboot.
Oh,
imagine that, yeah.
No, they remade GoldenEye.
Oh,
360.
It was on the Wii, wasn't it? The first.
It was, yeah, it was.
So they remade it for the 360 and then never released it, based on the original game.
But
so there was a GoldenEye on the Wii.
Oh, I see what you mean.
This is a remake of the N64 version. But yeah, it got canned. So, but again, Microsoft owns that. But
yeah, the other thing that
who knows what's going on?
I don't know whether it's not exactly a directly cancelled game, but the news we had I think last week that the Secrets of Mana trademark, maybe those two are connected. Maybe it's not they're bringing back a cancelled game. Maybe they're bringing back a franchise. So it's like because it's a rumour, we don't know anything more, but. Maybe those two events are linked. Trademarks are often kind of like a hint of where things are going.
I don't know where this guy's getting his information from anyway. He must have like an inside source in Nintendo.
The coal face.
Yeah. And then finally, literally just as we're coming to record the show, actually, Google has kind of announced that it's going to have a keynote at the Games Developers Conference on the 19th of March. So I think it's in San Francisco, isn't it? Where all of the big developers and that get together, talk about the future of games. So this obviously has led to a lot of speculation that Project Yeti, as it's called, the big Google streaming service that's been rumoured for a long time, is finally being readied. That's on the back of Assassin's Creed Odyssey being tested on like Project Stream, as they're calling it. And then the big rumour really is that either a brand new Chromecast or an actual like Google console is being readied, and this will all sort of come to some sort of announcement on the 19th of March. That'll be pretty interesting to see. I mean, I don't know, like streaming is I've moved outside of the capital city, our fine capital city,
it's the Wild
and the
West.
internet is not the same. Like, there's no there's no Virgin Fibre, which is our fastest. Well, that kind of what's it called to the
fibre to the cabinet.
To the cabinet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I don't know. The question of streaming is ever going, isn't it? Really.
I think there's two things. This is number one. There's a massive opportunity, and we know that all the big boys are circling. So Apple's strongly rumoured. Microsoft's obviously in this space. There's rumours that obviously Google are going to get into this space, and then probably Amazon as well eventually. So we've got some really big hitters. So the market opportunity is there, right? But the problem has always been access to the content, and then also obviously the technical aspects. I think they can achieve both of those, and I think the reason why that this is starting to happen now is because devices are plateauing. They can only bring so much innovation to an iPhone, to a Pixel phone, to a TV box. There's only so much further you can take it. That say, okay, it's now 4K with 1 million this and that the other, and the consumer goes, I don't care. I've got one that's from iOS. So the only way you get people locked in and make more money is with content and recurring revenue. And like look at Apple's latest results. the only real bright light was services. You know, it was Apple Music, Apple Pay, and all that kind of gubbins. So gaming for them is probably, they're looking at it going, this is a massive entertainment industry which is growing year on year. Why are we not in this space? You know, some bright spark will have gone that. Whether they can put two and two together and who will get there, who knows? Because they don't always have a good relationship with the content industries. But then again, these are more tech-based businesses anyway, so it's not like they're going to the music companies, which have always hated them for the piracy aspect. They could probably do a deal here with a Fortnite, a Epic, or something like that. You know,
it's where they get the games from. Whose games does Google stream or Apple stream?
Yeah.
I mean, if they can get hold of Nintendo's ones, but it seems very unlikely, then they'll be onto a winner. If it's just the likes of, you know, and maybe one of them has a deal with Activision and the other one has a deal with Epic, then suddenly you're splitting yourself again, like the console war has always been. So it is difficult to know how it's going to work. I mean, obviously Netflix and Amazon, they fight over the different TV suppliers, don't they? Like, so you know, you'll have Walking Dead on one and not on the other and things like that. So it's.
But a lot of people probably have Amazon and Netflix, and they'll just combo them up into a £10 subscription. So probably something like that will happen. You know, there'll be a Google for Games. Apple will roll in a games service. You know, there's rumours that there's going to be a new iPod Touch, which is going to be very much orientated to games, like a kind of almost a Switch competitor that's coming this year. So, you know, think about like a 6.1-inch screen, which I think the top-end iPhone now is. That's pretty big, you know, like that's Switch size, you know, and if they have some kind of like bolt-on for controllers, you could play. I mean, the A12, the Bionic chip, is crazy fast. I mean, it'll kick the Switch's ass because that thing is ludicrously powerful, you know. So stick that in a games console, and suddenly you're like, okay, like this could be a serious threat to Nintendo's business, which is probably why you're hearing them going, maybe hardware's not where we are long term. You know, we're sitting on the Nintendo catalog. We come along, Apple comes along and says, here's $1 trillion. You know, they'll say, oh, well, why would we be bothered?
Well, it would actually suit. It probably would suit Nintendo to not have to design hardware.
Yeah.
If you can essentially just stream all the games you make, so there's, you know, you're cutting out all of the physical copies you've got to make and all that. You're cutting out all of the creation of consoles, design of consoles, and suddenly you're making money for just what you do because it's your core business.
I think one key thing they would have to do, and where they've failed to do so far with mobile, is to have a standardized controller. So, like, we've talked about gaming on phones for years, but there's a reason why games are still simple on phones. It's because no one has there's not one size-fits-all controller.
Well, and nobody wants to lug it around with them either. Whereas when you've got a Switch, for some reason, you don't feel like it's any big deal to have this massive carry case with your Switch and the controllers in. But when it comes to your phone, it's in your pocket. Then it feels a bit alien to then get something out and attach it to it. I don't know why that is, but it's just the way... But, like I am, like most people seem to be.
But if they're going to be streaming games to a Chromecast or something, that they need to sell a Google controller, just like one standard controller. This controls all of our games.
Yeah, it's just wireless or something like that.
Otherwise, people get confused and they won't bother with it. But,
you know, but someone will work it out, and you know, if anybody's going to crack it, it's like one of those three companies, aren't they? Because they are ridiculously powerful. They've got the best developers in the world. You know, they'll blitz anybody out of the park, but it's just whether they see it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to know where in the end it leaves the current, like, you know, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. But I guess we'll see. Okay, so we're on to this week's listener letter, or tweet, I should say. So if you want to tweet the show for us to read out your thing on this section, then tweet us at GWR Gamers. Andy, you've got the tweet this week,
We have a real... this is real. It's not Mike making them up, as usual.
They're all real.
I don't make any up.
I'm joking, of course.
Scandalous.
So it's from Henry Wilson on Twitter, who says, currently playing Overcooked 2 on PS4 with my wife and loving it, but worried we'll crack it through it quite quickly and feel bereft. What else is out there that has similar appeal? Looking for immediacy, light tone, and not too much strategy.
I've got the perfect game, Overcooked 1.
Wow, you're really helpful.
It's not wrong.
Go on, I think you've got one, Jack.
I've got a couple. Captain Toad, Treasure Tracker.
Yeah.
I will mention it every podcast.
Yeah.
And also, of course, they've just released the 2-player mode.
Yeah.
So it's perfect for you and a pal.
Excellent. I mean, I can second that. It is really good fun, and it's really like bite size as well. There's a bit of strategy in there, but it's nothing like brain taxing. And imagine actually when you're playing 2-player, it's actually you've got to think about the kind of coordination aspects. It's quite fun, isn't it?
I wonder who moves the screen, because obviously the world turns, but if you've got two of you, then who do you think you battle over who's turning?
I don't know. I don't know actually.
You need to play that.
Well, report back. anything else that we think would be?
Could you say Smash Brothers?
Yeah,
I mean, it's got technical depth to it, but it can be quite
I
easy
think
to
that'd be
pick up
too
and play.
difficult for someone who's not great at games to just pick up. If say, what's it called, Henry is a lot better than his girlfriend, or was it wife or girlfriend? Did he say
Wife.
that? In this instance, it's like if she's quite new to games, Unravel 2.
Unravel 2,
yeah.
that's. I would definitely. I was just thinking that actually. That I really enjoyed that. That was really good fun, and it's got a bit of strategy to it, but it's really nice, and it's kind of like a nice experience. So yeah, that one's a good one.
The two games that me and my wife have played. My wife's not a very big gamer, but she does like the odd thing. Was Mario Kart, obviously Mario Kart on the Wii U actually, but it's the same Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Switch. I guess would be the alternative. And then it's not light-hearted, but Until Dawn, weirdly, was a game that like. I mean, it's not exactly horrifically gory or anything either. It's kind of quite. It's if you like Scream, then it's that kind of level of violence, I suppose. And my wife's like into that kind of film, so she really enjoyed going through that and was able to control it. It's not like it doesn't demand you to just have ninja reflexes suddenly. That was they were the two that sprung to mind. And Nidhogg 2 kind of is quite fun, but again, it might suffer.
What about A Way Out?
We went through that, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's fun little do it in one go.
That promises a lot, but it I don't know. It just failed to deliver for me.
I think with that game, I think for someone who doesn't play games, often the shooting sections would be
too much.
Yeah, they're not. They don't control very well.
Right.
I think it'd get quite frustrating. What about Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time?
That's quite a good one. I enjoyed that. I haven't played that with someone else. I've played it on my own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Diablo 3.
Lucky
Call of Duty. What about that murder mystery one? What was that?
Oh, The Invisible Hours.
Yeah,
that's been quite fun. I mean,
fun.
obviously it's not technically a two-player game, but you can play it with
and work it out.
Like Until Dawn, you play it with someone and work it out together.
Yeah, that'd be quite good.
But yeah, there's there's quite a lot of. It depends how you want to play. If you want to both play at the same time, then the likes of Unravel 2 and things like that. If your wife in this case is willing to sit there while you do the sort of heavy lifting of actually controlling it, then Invisible Hours would be great. Until Dawn, very good. And so yeah, there's loads out there. Maybe we'll have to have a think, and if there's more that spring to mind, we'll check back in next week. Right, we're on to our on the record section with Mr. Luke Wakeham over here.
Yeah, what's my job title?
I have no idea.
Oh, let's not get back into that.
Records person, records man.
Records man.
So to start with, in the news this week was this sale of $100,000 and $150 of Super Mario Brothers on the NES. However, is it a world record? A Guinness World Record title, I should say.
So this was all done through Heritage Auctions. I believe. So basically the auction was won by a group of buyers joining forces. So one of the buyers was Jim Halpin, who is actually the founder and co-chairman of Heritage Auctions. So because Jim was one of the auction's buyers, we're unable to recognise this as a record, as we require all buyers to be independent.
Yeah, makes sense. It's that sort of, it's my party, and I'll cry if I want to. Really, that isn't it? But is it? Do we have any other records for highest prize games? Do we know?
Well, there are like odd ones where like a game is put. So we'll talk about this like maybe another week. We'll address this when we
more in depth.
But there are certain games that come to retail at a ridiculous price. For example, I think. Dying Light had a version that was like £1 million. So that's obviously like it's not someone who's really bought it at that price, but it's available for that price. So there's lots of grey areas with valuable games and expensive games and stuff. It's a real kind of rat warren when you start getting into it.
Right.
And there are also lots of like Luke said, there's ways that we have to protect the integrity of a Guinness World Record title by having things like that in place. So. Yeah, but maybe like in an upcoming on the record, we'll have a chat about expensive and valuable and stuff. It is quite actually really interesting when you get into it and the nitty gritty of it.
Well, it's because I think this one that was sold, its condition was rated 9.4.
Wow!
So it's like I guess the highest.
Yeah, so that's by the WATA, WATA,
Yeah.
which is like they use Heritage Auctions in this case use that as an independent grader of second-hand, well, not second-hand, but older games that have been found. So. Yeah, there's a lot of technicality stuff. We have got a record that was sold on heritage auctions of the most expensive Zelda game, which was like, again, a very similarly kind of wrapped, sealed version of the original Legend of Zelda, which how much that went for absolutely escapes me at the moment. But
It's about
yeah.
$3,000.
Yeah, about
just
that,
over
yeah.
$3,000.
And also, I suppose this guy who runs this auction house was another person who just didn't want to sign up to a Nintendo Online, did he?
It's £18 a month. No, a year. Could have saved himself a lot
Someone,
of money.
someone can point out to it. Outside of that, we do have some other. So it's 1988. So it'll be the 30th anniversary of I think is.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think it'll be so basically something like the 30th anniversary of Ninja Gaiden, in the next week or so. So we thought we'd have a few Ninja Gaiden records.
Yeah.
So straight off the bat, we've got the most ubiquitous video game Ninja, which is...
Oh no, sorry. I remember what it was. It's 15 years since. It's 15 years since Ninja Gaiden on Xbox first came out. That's
Right,
what it is.
okay. So yes, the most ubiquitous video game ninja is Ryu Hayabusa, who has appeared in 37 video games. The first title was the original Ninja Gaiden, arcade released in 1988, while the most recent being the upcoming Dead or Alive 6. He's a playable character in that.
The weird thing with a lot of those games are kind of variations on Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox, because there's Ninja Gaiden Black, Sigma, all of those, and they all just subtly change it enough.
I tried to get a record in for that as well, and then. But I did have a question. Do any of you guys have a favourite video game ninja?
The Last Ninja.
The Last
From
Ninja.
the video game The Last Ninja.
He's
I like
full
him.
Joe a ninja.
He is a ninja, isn't he?
Is he a ninja?
Yeah, he's a
He's
ninja.
a superhero, probably, isn't he? But
He can be
cool.
both.
Yeah, he's clever. I don't know.
No.
Come on.
You want to have a
Shinobi,
Teenage
I
Mutant
suppose.
Ninja Turtles? They're ninjas.
Shinobi's a ninja, fights Batman and Spider-Man.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are appearing in a comic with Batman at the moment. How does that happen?
Crossover.
Yeah.
It's Batman.
It's like
the
Jump
ninja.
Force.
He is in Batman Ninja.
Batman.
Oh yeah.
Of course it is.
Batman the
Batman Ninja.
Ultimate. Well, this is just saying ninja in different ways, isn't it?
I'll move on.
No one said Ninja the Streamer, did they? You could have had that one.
Well, he's not an actual ninja,
character,
though,
is he? Yeah.
In a video game.
You don't know
He
that.
plays video games, but he's not in a video game.
How do we know? He might be.
He might be.
Although he's not very secretive if he is a real ninja.
No.
I once went to a class to learn ninja skills.
Please tell us all about this.
No, moving on. So the fastest pacifist completion of Ninja Gaiden on the NES is 14 minutes 48 seconds, and was achieved by Gus Mancini on the 13th of January 2016.
Does anyone know what a pacifist speedrun is?
I assume he didn't kill anyone.
Exactly. Well, you're allowed to kill the bosses that you cannot avoid killing.
Right.
Ah,
so how does he do it?
okay.
Just dodge.
You just have to run through and get to the end of the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty fun.
There's one for Fallout 3 of a guy who managed to complete that without killing
Really?
anybody, but he kind of breaks the game as well because he can't cope with it.
Well, I was going to ask if any of you have done any sort of pacifist runs. The only one I can think of trying was, I think, Metal Gear Solid 2, where you can use the M9, the tranquilizer gun,
just
throughout
put
the
that to
entire game. Got bored.
Well, there's also the snake eater boss who sort of dies if you.
What if you leave? Was it the end?
Yeah, the
He's like
end,
an old
yeah.
man, the
Yeah.
sniper, which is an amazing boss battle, by the way. But if you just don't do anything for a while,
Yeah, you have to just turn your PlayStation off for like.
It's a week.
Is it like 6-7
He dies
days?
after a week.
yeah, you'll just die. Yeah, and you can go back and be like, oh, yeah.
But
I
that
waited in the
that
jungle
does
for a
count
week.
towards pacifist speedruns of that game, apparently.
Oh, does it not?
No, it does count.
Oh, it does?
That's,
Okay,
that's how you
yeah,
can get
but-
around that one.
I
Not the
always
fastest to complete anything. Then.
Yeah, 6 days.
I always play the Deus Ex games as a pacifist run first off, and it takes ages. But
Oh, mate.
that's
yeah.
just how I like to play them.
Dishonored, I guess, is kind of the only
Yeah, yeah.
one that I never
You want the good
really
ending?
technically tried because it was too hard. But I wish I was good enough to go back and do that without being seen or killing anybody. But it's too time consuming. I'm not good enough at the game.
Well, moving on to the final one. So the rarest trophy in Ninja Gaiden. Is it Gaiden or Gaiden?
Gaiden.
Gaiden.
Gaiden, probably.
Sigma Plus.
That's
Is
the Vita one, yeah.
So that is the Vita version. So this is the only one that actually has trophies. in it, is the Coin Master trophy,
Wow.
which has been only been obtained by 1.3% of players on the PS Vita re-release of the famously difficult Ninja Gaiden game. This is all according to PSN profiles as verified today.
Wow.
Well, not today, the 19th of Feb.
I wonder when they put Ninja Gaiden Black, I think it is, on the Xbox and made it backwards compatible with Xbox One X, if that has trophies. I'm not quite sure if it does.
I'm not sure. I
That,
couldn't
that
find
only
anything.
happened a year or two ago.
So it's weird because the original one was Ninja Gaiden, was it Sigma?
Well, there was just Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja
That was the
Gaiden,
original
yeah,
one, and
that
then
was-
they brought out Black, Sigma Plus, whatever it was called.
So there's 4 different versions of this game.
And then they brought, and then they brought out the Xbox One X enhanced version of Black, which I think is probably subtly different enough to count
Yeah.
as well. So.
What?
Yeah.
What is Coin Master? Do we know?
So basically, it's where you've got to get platinum on all the ninja trials.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the extra bonus
That
content.
does
I
sound
think,
like
for
it
the
would be
Vita.
tricky and
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah.
Especially on the Vita, on like the tiny screen.
Yeah.
But has
That's
any
my
of you played
excuse
this
anyway.
game? Or it is actually
No.
very cool. Like the combat system is great. It's kind of like Devil May Cry a little bit. You go through it in missions, but it is crushingly hard.
I played Ninja Gaiden Black. It's awesome, really good.
It is cool.
But I've not played it on all of the different consoles
Wow.
it's on. Cool. Thanks, Luke. Right, we are on to boss fight. So this week,
You're right.
because of the Nintendo cancelled game rumour,
Okay.
it's themed around cancelled games.
Oh,
Come on.
So,
all
like
right.
last week, there are no lifelines. It's too easy, I
Let's go
think.
straight in.
So what I've done, I've written the box quote, the line on the back of the box.
Okay.
To describe what this game might have been, and you
Yep.
guys have to guess the game
Is it
from,
like a
from the
haiku?
description.
These look kind of hard.
They're not.
Already I'm worried.
Yeah. Maybe I'll give you one lifeline that you can pass,
Oh, cheers.
like the old
It's just
invisibility.
making up the
stuff.
rules.
Well, no, well, let's see how we get on. Let's
Giving
see
you a
what we get.
chance.
I don't think it's that hard.
Watch us crash out on the first
Yeah. Go on then.
Okay, so these are all, like I say, real games that have been cancelled.
Yeah.
You'll
Right.
have heard of them
All right.
I'm sure.
one. Says you.
Okay, so the line for this one, the tagline for this one. In space, no one will hear you say boo. So you have to think about
Deconstruct the rhyme.
deconstruct. So it's like a cryptic crossword.
I mean, straight away, what is happening?
What is this?
So you have to think of.
I-
I'll help you through the first one to let you get into the flow.
So
of
these are
it.
games
Yeah.
that were announced but then cancelled.
So this is So this is
Okay.
a game that is set in space.
yes,
Right.
got
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And has some elements of something that might say boo.
I like the way you say it's so deadpan. It's kind of like boo. Yeah. Or it should be.
Ghost.
Space Ghost.
Space ghosts.
Is it literally when you say boo? It's a scary game. is
You're
it?
halfway there.
Well,
you
yeah,
are halfway there.
But is it a boo as in a Mario boo?
No, it's
No.
just
Right.
No.
Just,
So let's say
I,
you've
was,
got-
I was wondering how many layers you'd apply to
Uh,
this.
Let's say you've got 2
Not
out of
many.
3 elements.
Thing is, did they cancel the Dead Space game? That's what I'm wondering.
No, I don't think they did.
That's-
You're
Everywhere.
almost there with Ghost. So
Yeah.
so basically
Oh,
by
StarCraft. Ghost.
exactly
Yeah.
right. That's how simple.
Right, okay.
It's not analytical. This
Simple
this
slash
game.
hard.
Ah, okay.
All right, we've got through question 1, guys.
Right.
Right. So, yeah,
I'm sweating.
I think this one's probably easier. Although I thought that was easy, but anyway. I suppose I would because it's my brain.
Yeah, and also you wrote the question.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's easy.
All right. Tagline: Will you be unlucky in a galaxy far, far away?
Oh, it's 1313.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
1313.
Yeah,
Star Wars
Star Wars,
1313.
Well done, well done.
Yeah.
Good.
Should have led with that one.
Well, yeah, okay. I thought everyone would know StarCraft, guys. Question 3: When you're up in a high place, you're better off staying quiet.
I think this is a good one, actually.
When you're up in a
Silence.
high,
Silent Hill. One of the Silent Hills.
what could be?
Which one would
What,
be?
why? Yeah, it's
When you're up in a
Silent
high,
Hills.
Staying quiet. Silence.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's totally it.
yeah. So which one
They
got
started off
cancelled?
as box quotes, and now they've become
Well,
cryptic
yeah,
questions.
well,
yeah. And
It
it's
could
right.
be a box quote.
Silent Hills. Yeah.
It was Silent Hill. as well.
We're getting Death Stranding
Don't
instead.
overthink it, Mike. It's, you know it is.
Question 4. An espionage thriller destined to never appear on PlayStation.
Agent, isn't it?
Well, yeah, definitely Agent, yeah.
Yeah, Agent it's.
Yeah.
What's happened to
Rockstar's
Agent? Come on.
Well,
They've taken it off the website now. It's officially dead.
I just realised I actually put a couple of extra little bits of information for some of these. So not as clues, just to fill in some bits. So StarCraft Ghost was put on indefinite hold by Blizzard in 2006. Never been seen since. There is like weird footage of it that's around. You can watch on YouTube. Star Wars 1313 was shown at E3 2012, which makes me feel really old because I was at that show.
Remember that.
That's
but
the
then,
one where you're climbing up the spaceship that's like crashing or
yes,
something.
exactly right.
So
Yeah,
cool.
like Uncharted style.
Brilliant.
The purchase
Really
of obviously Star Wars by Disney prompted the game to be put on hold, and then production was ceased entirely in March 2013. Silent Hills was caught up in Kojima leaving Konami. Even so far as the Silent Hills demo PT was pulled off the PlayStation Store, of course. Konami have confirmed the game's cancellation on the 27th of April 2015. So that was the end of that, although rumours still circulate. There's even some people trying to say that this Nintendo thing is that coming off.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No chance.
And then Agent. So I think, was it actually shown once upon a time, or it was announced in 2007 at I think at an E3. And then it was never really officially cancelled, but the Agent trademark that Rockstar owned expired in November last year. So basically that has gone, unless it's been renamed and released on Switch soon.
It was a Sony exclusive, wasn't it? They did apparently had done a deal with them. So
and it was rumoured for years and years that he was going to be shown at a Sony show. Maybe it was never shown, and I don't know. Question 5. This is the doozy. This is the doozy.
Okay.
Difficult, I would have thought, but we'll see. Mallet's Mallet the video game by way of Nintendo.
Mallet's Mallet the video game. I mean, already that's a dated reference.
To Mallet.
To the kids.
It's supposed to be Wackaday. Was his show.
By way of Nintendo. Okay, so cancelled Nintendo game involving a mallet.
Nailed it. You just need to think of the game.
Well,
Good pun there, Mike.
I mean, you have a mallet in Donkey Kong, don't you? But I'm really struggling to think what this game that Mike's made up is.
Donkey Kong.
I made it up.
Can we have the clue again, just for... it
yes.
won't help me, I just want to hear your voice.
Mallet's Mallet the video game by way of Nintendo. So I'll give you a clue. You've got to think of another name for a mallet.
Is it Project Hammer?
It was Project Hammer. Well done. Well done. Nice.
Nailed it.
So yes, this was like a Wii... a game that was supposed to come out for Wii, designed to kind of show off the game's motion controls.
Yeah.
It was confirmed as being cancelled in 2009. It was shown at E3 2006, so over those 3 years, not very much was seen of it until it was cancelled. And then when you read around about it, people from inside Nintendo were saying like it never quite worked with the motion control. So basically, it was like dead from the start. Really, they could never quite get it to work. They were never going to make a game that then made their own motion controls look a bit rubbish. So so yeah, well done.
We did it.
That was interesting, wasn't it? That worked.
That was interesting.
Yeah. Can we have a sort of consistent format for this?
No.
Yeah.
I try and theme it around something that's on the show. That's consistency for you.
I look at the TV game show. They went, right, we're doing this week. Who knows?
The consistency. It's a quiz about games.
Right.
I mean, that is consistent.
And the answer would probably be a game, or a person in a game, or a score of a game.
You won that. You won. You won.
Yeah, we did
Well
win.
done.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for watching or listening. We are available on YouTube, on all podcast services, such as iTunes. And of course, you can search for us on Google. Just search Guinness World Records, Guinness Gamers Podcast, and you will find us on our various channels. Thanks very much for listening. I have been Mike Plant at Mike Plant GC. Luke, you are
at MinMax Luke.
Jack
At QLC Jack.
And Andy
at Media Scribbles.
Until next time, thanks for watching.
See
Bye.
ya. Bye.
Bye.